There's a kind of silent pain that only rare souls can fully understand. It's as if the universe tests precisely those who can't pretend, who don't accept half measures, and who don't sell themselves for empty companionship. You felt this before, haven't you? That strange feeling of seeing everyone around you falling in love with enviable ease, building quick and superficial stories. Meanwhile, you're stuck in the middle, torn between what you want and what your soul knows you can't accept. No matter how hard you try to convince yourself that normal is enough, something inside you screams that's not it, not like that. This resistance is not a manufacturing defect, but rather what Carl Jung would call a superior archetypal sensitivity. Rare souls possess a kind of cellular rejection of relationships that don't touch their essence, functioning as a biological filter against what is mundane. For Jung, the soul that seeks wholeness cannot be content with fragments of attention disguised as true love. The universe isolates these people not as punishment, but to preserve the purity of a calling that few can hear. If you feel out of place in modern relationship patterns, know that your soul is simply protecting the territory of your future union. Often, this isolation feels like a harsh punishment, a solitary journey through a desert where no one speaks your native language. You observe the seduction rituals of others and feel a profound weariness, as if you were watching a repetitive theatrical performance. This inability to adapt to the superficial is the first major sign that the universe has more complex plans for you. It's not about arrogance, but about a psychic integrity that prevents you from diminishing yourself to fit into someone else's world. It's a process of refinement where the gold of your essence is separated from the gravel of social expectations that everyone carries. Before we continue, I want to ask you a question that will touch the core of your truth. Do you prefer the silence of your room or the noise of a relationship that makes you feel alone? Have you ever noticed that sometimes the emptiness of being with the wrong person hurts much more than the physical absence of a partner? If you have ever felt this accompanied emptiness, comment below "I choose the truth." Take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel, as this is a refuge for souls who refuse to live on emotional crumbs. Here, we decipher the mysteries of the soul so that you never again feel lost in your own depths. The universe is, at this very moment, clearing your energy field so that nothing obstructs your vision when the real encounter happens. Carl Jung explained that the individuation process requires a person to learn to sustain their own light before sharing it. This waiting period is, in fact, an alchemical process of cleansing illusions, ancestral fears, and patterns of lack. Rare souls are prepared like diamonds, under pressure and in the dark, until they shine on their own without depending on external light. Understand that what seems like a delay is, in reality, divine protection against deviations that could destroy your heart. The first great test that the universe imposes on rare souls is what we call imposed solitude, the kind you didn't choose. Unlike voluntary solitude, here you find yourself surrounded by people at parties or at work, but with a feeling of absolute isolation. Jung saw this as the Nigredo stage in the alchemy of the soul, where everything false must die for the new to be born. It's the period when you question whether there's something wrong with you or if true love is just a literary myth. However, this desert is the laboratory where the universe tests your ability to be true to yourself in scarcity. This imposed solitude serves to break your dependence on external validation, forcing you to look into the only mirror that matters, the inner one. When you stop desperately searching for someone to fill the silence begins to tell you secrets about who you truly are. For a rare soul, solitude ceases to be an uncomfortable waiting room and becomes a temple of profound self-knowledge. It is in this state that you recalibrate your values and understand that your own company is too valuable to be given to just anyone. The universe observes how you treat yourself when no one is watching, because that will be the pattern for your future love. Many people fail this test and end up running into the arms of anyone just to silence the fear of being alone forever. But the rare soul, though it suffers, feels that there is too high a spiritual price to pay for settling for what is mediocre and empty. Jung believed that solitude is a privilege of those who have an inner world vast enough to support their own conscious immensity. If you resist this social pressure to be with someone just for the sake of being with someone, you are accumulating what I call the spiritual credit of destiny. Every night that you choose your own truth instead of a shared lie, you get closer to your true match. Have you ever noticed how the universe seems to push people away from you just when you start to feel needy or too vulnerable? Have you noticed that certain encounters that seemed promising simply vanish into thin air without a logical explanation or a real reason? This isn't bad luck, it's the invisible hand of Providence removing what would otherwise be just a distraction on your soul's path. The universe is a rigorous healer that removes the poison of superficiality before it becomes an incurable emotional addiction. Accept this isolation as a sacred retreat specially prepared for the awakening of your most potent and authentic self. Now, tell me honestly, are you able to enjoy your own company, Or does silence still frighten you in some profound way? Have you learned to take yourself out to dinner, to give yourself flowers, and to be your own safe haven in this existential storm? Knowing how to inhabit your own solitude is the basic prerequisite for the universe to entrust you with the soul of another person in the future. Subscribe to the channel to learn how to transform your solitude into personal power, following in the footsteps of those who have already walked this path. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the most dangerous test of all, the person who seems perfect but is a trap. After the desert of solitude, the universe often sends the most seductive and dangerous test, the person who seems to be your manifest destiny. It's someone who arrives with overwhelming intensity, sharing your tastes, finishing your sentences, and seeming like the answer to all your prayers. However, in Jungian psychology, this is often a projection of your own anima or animus, your inner part that you haven't yet integrated. You're not seeing the real person, but rather an idealized image your mind has created to fill the void of waiting. This test serves to see if you can already distinguish between a soul connection and a projected neediness. Many rare souls fall into this trap because their hunger to be understood is so great that they ignore the obvious warning signs. This perfect person is often a mirror that reflects only what you want to see, hiding the fundamental incompatibilities that will surface later. The universe observes whether you will be able to keep your feet on the ground or whether you will lose yourself again in a fantastical and childish romance. Real love, according to Jung, is not a blind fusion of projections, but the conscious recognition of two whole and real individuals. If you accept love in pieces, where only a part of you is loved, you end up eroding your own vital essence. The danger of accepting being understood only halfway is that you begin to prune parts of yourself to maintain that illusion of perfection. You become an edited version of who you are, just to avoid losing what seems to be a past life reunion. This is the test of integrity. Would you trade your wholeness for a connection that requires you to hide or change? The universe sends these fated characters to test whether you have learned the lesson that no partner can give you what you haven't given yourself. It's a trial by fire for your emotional self-sufficiency and the clarity of your intuitive vision. When that person leaves, and they usually do because projections don't hold up against reality for long, the pain is devastating. But this pain is what Jung called necessary disillusionment, the moment the veil falls and you finally see the truth. You realize you were in love with an idea and not with a human being of flesh, bone, and complex shadows. This process cleanses your spiritual eye, making you capable of recognizing the right person when they finally cross your path. The universe isn't being cruel, it's training your vision so you don't waste your life on a simulacrum of love. Have you ever lived a story that seemed like something out of a movie at first, but quickly turned into a nightmare of misunderstanding and emptiness? Have you ever felt that you loved someone not for who they were, but for who you wanted them to be to you? This is the test of projection in action, and almost all of us need to go through it at least once to awaken. Comment I saw the truth if you have already experienced this painful, but extremely necessary, awakening for your evolution. In the next chapter, we will understand why we feel fear when real love finally knocks on our door. The third test occurs when the universe finally places someone genuinely compatible in your path, and your first instinct is to run away. This happens because the rare soul, accustomed to pain and disappointment, develops defense mechanisms that confuse peace with danger. Jung explained that the ego fears change, and true love is the greatest force for change in human experience. You begin to find non-existent flaws, create arguments out of insecurity, or convince yourself that the person is too good to be true. Self-sabotage is the final test of your emotional readiness to receive what you so desperately wanted. Often, we confuse our wisdom with fear disguised as prudence, believing we are protecting ourselves when we are merely hiding from life. The universe observes whether you will have the courage to be vulnerable again, even carrying the scars of battles that nearly destroyed you. True love demands that you lower your guard and allow another soul to see your deepest and most intimate imperfections. For a rare soul, this is the greatest challenge, for their strength has always been their armor of independence and extreme self-sufficiency. Letting someone in is the act of surrender that the universe requires to complete your healing process. At this stage, you may feel a sudden urge to withdraw, to isolate yourself again, or to revert to old patterns of toxic relationships. The toxic is familiar to the ego, while the peace of healthy love seems like uncharted territory and therefore frighteningly strange. Jung stated that what does not become conscious returns to us as fate, and self-sabotage is fate attempting to repeat old suffering. You need to recognize that fear is not a warning of danger, but a sign that you are facing something real. The universe wouldn't send you the right person if you didn't have the inner capacity to sustain that connection. The test here is to recalibrate your nervous system to accept tranquility without needing to create chaos to feel alive or loved. Rare souls often become addicted to the intensity of pain and the search, and when peace arrives they feel strangely bored. It is necessary to learn to appreciate constancy and security as elevated forms of passion and mutual spiritual surrender. If you can overcome your own wall of fear, you will discover that love is not a struggle but a rest. The universe is teaching you that you deserve to be loved without having to fight for every crumb of attention or affection. Have you ever felt like ending something that was going well just because you felt something was wrong, without being able to explain what? Have you ever found yourself doubting the intentions of someone who has only treated you with affection, respect, and clarity from day one? Know that this is your shadow trying to keep you in control through the protective isolation you've built. Sign up to understand how to disarm these defense mechanisms and finally allow happiness to take up residence in your heart. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the need to let go of the past to receive the universe's gift. Before true love can manifest, the universe demands a complete recalibration of your vibrational frequency and your old identities. This means you will need to cut ties with toxic friendships, environments that drain your energy, and habits that reinforce your victim narrative. Jung called this the death of the old self so that the new self can emerge in all its glory and power. You can't receive the new if your hands are still occupied holding the ashes of relationships that ended years ago. The universe observes your courage to clear the sacred space of your life for what is to come. This recalibration hurts because it involves letting go of parts of yourself that, although painful, were comfortable because they had been known for so long. You may lose interest in certain places or social groups that were once fundamental to your routine and social identity. It's a process of disidentification with pain, where you stop using your traumas as a badge of honor or shield. The rare soul needs to understand that its history of suffering was the fertilizer, but it is not the plant that is now blooming. The universe wants you to vibrate at the frequency of reception and not at the frequency of eternal, desperate searching. Often, this transitional phase is accompanied by a feeling of absolute emptiness, as if you were in a deep existential limbo. You are no longer who you were, but you still don't feel connected to the new life the universe is preparing for you. Jung described this as the state of suspension necessary for the psyche to reorganize itself around a new center of gravity. It's important not to rush to fill this void with any distraction, but rather to inhabit it with patience and absolute trust. This is the moment when your faith in the unseen is tested at its highest and most demanding level. The universe is checking if you can maintain a high frequency even when nothing seems to be happening on the surface of your life. Rare souls learn that the exterior is merely a reflection of the interior and that the right person is a resonance of your state of being. If you vibrate in scarcity and fear, you will attract those who confirm that fear. If you vibrate in peace and wholeness, you will attract your conscious partner. This is the final training for you to stop looking outside and start overflowing with what already exists within you. Love is not something you get, but something you allow to manifest through your own light. Have you ever noticed that, suddenly, certain people and issues have definitively and irreversibly ceased to make sense to you? Have you ever felt that you are being prepared for something big, even though you can't see any concrete signs of it in your daily life? This is the universe clearing the ground and recalibrating your internal compass for the encounter that will change your trajectory forever. Comment "I let go of the past" to confirm that you are ready for this new phase of emotional and spiritual abundance. In Chapter 6, we will delve into the concept of individuation and how it concludes your journey of solitude. The definitive transition to meeting the right person requires you to abandon, once and for all, the role of victim of fate. Jung believed that the individuation process is only complete when we stop blaming the past or other people for our current emptiness. For a rare soul, pain is often a comfortable identity, a place where we justify our loneliness as if we were misunderstood by the cruel world. However, the universe observes when you decide to transmute this pain into personal authority, ceasing to recount the story of what hurt you. By doing so, you release an immense amount of psychic energy that was trapped in yesterday, allowing tomorrow to finally manifest. Living as truth means you no longer need scars to prove your worth or spiritual depth to anyone. The universe withholds the ideal partner while you still use your suffering as a bargaining chip to gain attention or compassion from others. Conscious love doesn't flourish in soil of self-pity, but rather in terrain where personal responsibility is the main foundation. Jung stated that we are what we choose to become, not what happened to us in moments of vulnerability or abandonment. When you decide to be the protagonist of your healing, the vibrational frequency of your life changes instantly, attracting much higher realities. This awakening of the self requires you to recognize that each previous disappointment was, in fact, a preparatory lesson for your maturation. By ceasing to see yourself as someone who was rejected, you begin to see yourself as someone who was preserved for something greater. This shift in perspective is the key that opens the portal to relationships that are not based on shared traumas or needs. The universe doesn't want you to find someone to heal your wounds, but someone to celebrate your health and your achieved wholeness. The rare soul that reaches this stage stops asking "why me?" and starts asking "what is this power for now?" Often, the victim narrative is what keeps us connected to family lineages of romantic suffering that repeat themselves for generations. By breaking this pattern, you heal not only yourself but also the ancestors who didn't have the chance to behold that. You become the turning point in your family tree. The woman who chose awareness instead of the blind repetition of pain. The universe honors this Herculean effort by sending a connection that reflects this new freedom and this new emotional and spiritual sovereignty. You are no longer looking for a savior, for you have discovered that the Savior has always resided at the center of your own sacred psyche. Have you ever stopped to realize how many times you tell the same painful story to people you've just met? Have you noticed that sometimes it seems like you're afraid to be happy because you wouldn't know who you would be without your past suffering? Subscribe to the channel to learn how to rebuild your identity based on your strength and not on your past wounds. Leave a comment saying "I am my power" if you are determined to leave the victim role behind today. In the next chapter, we will unveil the final test, the test of letting go of control to finally receive love. The final test the universe imposes before the grand arrival is the test of total surrender, where you must stop desperately searching. There is a subtle but powerful difference between being open to love and being obsessed with finding a partner to complete you. Jung explained that obsessive desire is a form of resistance, as it focuses on lack and not on the presence of inner abundance. When you finally let go of the need to have someone, you signal to the universe that you already feel complete and at peace with yourself. It is at this exact moment of detachment that the energetic barriers fall and what is rightfully yours begins to find you. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or closing your heart, but rather removing the pressure and anxiety that block the natural flow of life. The universe tests whether you can be happy now, in the present, without depending on a future promise of happiness as a couple. Rare souls are often controlling out of fear of new disappointments. But control is the opposite of the spiritual trust that love requires. The ultimate test is to turn inward and cultivate your own garden in such a way that the butterflies come of their own free will. You stop chasing and start attracting, shifting from a hunting posture to a magnetic and serene receptive posture. Jung said that when an inner situation is not made conscious, it manifests externally as destiny or fate. If you still hold on to the hidden belief that something is missing, the universe will continue to send you situations that confirm this constant lack. By letting go of the search, you declare that the quest is over, because you have already found the treasure within your own divine soul. This state of solitary wholeness is the most powerful magnet that exists to attract another soul that has also reached this same level. It is proof that you don't need anyone, and it is precisely because you don't need anyone that you are ready to share. Many people panic at this stage, believing that if they stop searching, they will be alone for the rest of their earthly lives. But the spiritual truth is the opposite. What is truly yours can never be lost, only temporarily veiled by your own anxiety. The universe is precise and never misses the address of a soul that is vibrating at the frequency of gratitude and inner peace. When you relax your shoulders and breathe deeply, accepting life as it is today, you become irresistible to destiny. The right love doesn't come to fill your void, but to overflow the cup you yourself have learned to fill. Do you feel like you're still chasing for love? Or can you already rest assured that what's meant for you will come in due time? Can you look at your life today and feel gratitude even if the ideal person hasn't yet knocked on your physical door? If you feel you're in the process of letting go of control, comment below "I trust the universe's timing." In the next chapter, we'll see how real love manifests itself very differently from the chaos you've become accustomed to calling passion. True love, the kind prepared by the universe after all the tests, doesn't manifest through anxious fireworks or intense dramas. Unlike karmic passions that kept you awake at night, the encounter with your conscious partner brings an immediate feeling of recognition and tranquility. Jung described this as a conjunction where there is no effort to be accepted, because the affinity between souls is natural and pre-existing. You will feel that you can finally breathe without masks, without tiresome games of seduction, and without the constant fear of being abandoned. It's a connection that calms your nervous system instead of keeping it in a state of alert and stress. Many rare souls find this initial peace strange, confusing the lack of conflict with a lack of chemistry or real, deep interest. Popular culture has taught us that love should be an emotional roller coaster of devastating and intense highs and lows. However, the universe has prepared you to understand that obsession is a disease of the soul, while true love is its ultimate cure. The right person doesn't come to be the center of your world, but to walk beside you as you both gaze towards the horizon. The security that this relationship provides is the fertile ground where your creativity and life purpose can finally flourish. At this stage, You will realize that you no longer need to analyze every word or gesture of the other person in search of hidden ulterior motives. Communication is clear, presence is constant, and respect is the standard language that governs all moments of coexistence. Jung believed that mature love is that which allows the other to be who they are, without the need for control or possession. You will feel that you have found a safe haven where your shadows are embraced and your light is celebrated without competition or envy. The chaos of the past served so that you could appreciate the beauty of this divine order that is now established in your life. True love doesn't come with games of who calls first or the uncertainty of whether the person will still like you tomorrow. It comes with a solidity that allows you to focus on other areas of your life, knowing that your emotional foundation is protected and well-nourished. The universe removes the noise of childish passions so you can hear the gentle music of a partnership that builds and evolves. It's the meeting of two whole beings who decide to overflow together, creating a third force that is greater than the sum of its parts. If you've ever experienced a love that brought you peace instead of anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about now. Have you ever wondered if what you're looking for is a love that takes your breath away or a love that helps you breathe? Can you perceive the difference between the adrenaline of the fear of losing and the serotonin of the security of having and being? Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring how conscious relationships profoundly transform our physical, mental, and spiritual health. In the penultimate chapter, we'll talk about how this partnership expands your consciousness and your role in the modern world. Once the universe unites two rare souls, the purpose of this union goes far beyond simple companionship or biological procreation. Jung called these relationships vessels of transformation, where each partner helps the other reach higher levels of consciousness. In a conscious partnership, no one completes anyone, as both have already done the work of becoming whole during the waiting period. The focus now is on mutual expansion, where the talents of one enhance the virtues of the other in a dance of constant support. You become mirrors that reflect not shadows for punishment, but lights for encouragement and spiritual growth. This type of relationship demands radically honest communication, where vulnerability is seen as the greatest proof of strength and trust. You learn to argue without destroying, to disagree without disrespecting, and to grow without drifting apart on the journey. The universe uses this union as a beacon for others, showing that it's possible to build something solid in a fluid world. Rare souls in conscious partnership create an energy field that benefits not only the couple but everyone around them. It's a shared mission that gives a transcendent meaning to daily routines and to small, constant gestures of affection. Conscious partnership allows you to further integrate your shadow self, as you now have a partner who doesn't shy away from your humanity. Jung observed that it is in the relationship with the other that we test the effectiveness of our individual and solitary individuation process. If you can love the other with their flaws, you learn to love yourself with a depth that was previously impossible. This union is the final stage of alchemy, the mystical marriage between the masculine and the feminine that brings balance. You become a haven for each other, allowing both of you to navigate more distant and courageous seas in the outside world. The universe celebrates this union because it is rare and necessary for the balance of the collective consciousness of our current humanity. Point 2. Awakened beings in a conscious relationship have the power to transform entire communities through the example of harmony and peace. There is no room for selfishness, as the well-being of the partner is seen as naturally extending to one's own well-being. You learn that love is a daily practice of conscious choice and not just a volatile feeling that comes and goes. It is the commitment to walk together towards the light, even when the path seems dark or difficult to tread. Do you feel ready to be someone's mirror of light and to allow someone to be your mirror of evolution? Are you ready to let go of ego defenses in exchange for a connection that demands your rawest, most naked truth? If your answer is yes, know that the universe's tests are nearing their end and your reward is on its way. Leave an I am ready in the comments to anchor this intention in your vibrational field and your reality. Now let's move on to the final revelation and the closing of this script that will transform your vision of love. The great revelation that every rare soul receives at the end of their journey is that the universe never denied you love. It protected you. Every time you felt rejected, forgotten, or lonely, it was the hand of Providence preventing you from diminishing yourself. If you had found someone during your moments of need, you would have accepted crumbs and stifled the brilliance of your soul. The waiting time was the greatest act of love that life could have shown you, sculpting your inner strength. Now you look back and give thanks for every door that closed and for every person who decided to leave your life. You realize that the universe wasn't being cruel by leaving you alone, but rather rigorous in preparing the stage for the best. A rare soul cannot unite with just anyone, because the voltage of its energy would fry someone who wasn't on the same frequency. The delay was, in fact, a necessary recalibration so that the encounter wouldn't just be a chance meeting, but a fusion of destinies that you needed to become the right person for yourself before you could be the right person for your true and great partner. Today, you understand that solitude was the womb where your new and more powerful version was carefully gestated. Jung said that nothing happens by chance in the world of the psyche and that destiny is merely the outward manifestation of our inner growth. Upon arriving here, you are no longer the same woman who began this video feeling the pain of incomprehension and emptiness. You are an initiate into the mysteries of the heart, someone who has learned to read the signs of the universe and to trust in the wisdom of silence. The love you receive now is a direct reflection of the whole, conscious and powerful woman you have become after these trials. Celebrate your journey, for every tear shed has transformed into a pearl of wisdom that now adorns your soul. The universe didn't just send you the right person to make you happy, but so that together you two can make the world shine brighter. The meeting of rare souls is a cosmic event that resonates far beyond the walls of a house or the limits of an embrace. Stay strong in your light, knowing that everything that happened was to ensure that you never again accept less than wholeness. Your love story is living proof that spiritual patience and fidelity to the self always yield the sweetest fruits. The universe finally smiles upon you, because you have learned the most important lesson. You were already the love you were searching for. Thank you so much for following this profound journey into what the universe does with rare souls before true love arrives. If this content resonated with you and brought peace to your heart, don't forget to like and share it with a special friend. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next dives into occult psychology and the awakening of your higher and divine consciousness. Comment gratitude if you feel this video was a direct sign from the universe for your life moment today. May your path be illuminated by peace and may conscious love find you at the perfect and sacred moment.